best element on a majority of roller coasters is going to be the first drop. Now this is the main method of velocity for really any coaster that doesn't have a launch, and I love a good first drop. And there are plenty of different types of first drops out there, like straight drops, curved drops. There are drops that are beyond vertical, there are drops that are not as steep, drops of many different heights. But today I'll be celebrating the awesome element that is the drop by counting down my top 10 favorite first drops on a coaster. Number 10 is one that might actually surprise some of you guys. This is the 300-foot 80-degree drop on Millenium Force at Cedar Point. And this was the first ever Giga coaster, so this was the first ever 300-foot drop. And this is a really fun drop. Might actually be pretty controversial. I actually prefer this to Fury 325's drop. But I don't know, I just found it was a bit more fun. I really like the setting, how it's right next to Lake Erie and the road. And this drop is definitely really fun. In the back, it gets some great air time, and you definitely get whipped over it. It's a really long-lasting drop, which is great. And I like how you get thrown straight into some great positives at the bottom of the drop as you hit 93 miles per hour going to that big overbank turn. It's nothing too special, but it's overall just a really fun drop. And it is definitely one of the things that just makes Millenium Force such a fun and awesome coaster. And at number 9, actually towering right over Millenium Force's drop, is going to be the 400-foot 90-degree drop on top Thrill Dragster. And this drop is just awesome. A lot of people don't like it because of the spiral, but I don't know, I just really love this drop. The spiral actually gives great laterals, unlike King Ka, because this doesn't have the trims at the top, and you're flying down this drop, so that just makes it crazy. It definitely feels really big. Just flying through that spiral, it's just a crazy sensation. You go straight into that brake run. This thing is short, but it's truly an adrenaline rush. And this drop is just so iconic and just awesome. And the fact that you're in a lap bar is just crazy too. Plunging down from that height, it's just an insane experience. And it is definitely one of my favorite drops. I think it would be a little bit better maybe if it was straight down, but honestly, I think the fact that it spirals makes it more unique. It's just such a fun element, and I don't know, I just love Top Thrill Dragster. It's just such a fun coaster. And scaling way back with number 8, we have the 100-foot 75-degree drop on Twisted Cyclone at Six Flags Over Georgia. And this is my lowest ranked RMC drop and my lowest ranked RMC, but this is still a great drop. I love the drops on RMCs. With just the straight ones, they're just really, really fun. You definitely get great airtime, just get whipped over it. If you're in the back, it's just absolutely amazing. It's short, but it definitely gives some really, really good air time. And I do like how it twists. You actually get some pretty good laterals about halfway down. And there's a head chopper about halfway down towards the end of the drop, which is definitely really cool. It's just a typical awesome RMC drop. And it's just one of the things that makes Twisted Cyclone such a great ride. And a pretty similar drop coming in at number 7 is going to be the awesome 109-foot 78-degree drop on Wicked Cyclone at Six Flags New England. And the stats on this one are pretty much almost identical to the drop on Twisted Cyclone. However, it doesn't have the head chopper towards the bottom or the twist on the drop. However, I think the reason I like this more is just it did feel a little bit bigger and did last a little bit longer. You still get great airtime on both drops, and you definitely get whipped over both of them really well. And this is just such a fun drop, definitely a great airtime moment, and it's just a really, 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 really great first drop. Definitely back row is the way to go for this drop, and it's just one of the parts that makes Wicked Cyclone such a great ride. Just missing out on the top 5 is going to be the awesome 100-foot 95-degree drop on Maverick at Cedar Point, and this is the only beyond vertical drop to make this list. And just like the previous 2 drops on Wicked and Twisted Cyclone, this drop is small but powerful. It is just crazy. You get absolutely flung over this thing in the back. The front's good, but in the back it's just insane. It's really steep, and you just get absolutely whipped over it. Some really, really good airtime. You get thrown straight into a really intense bank turn. It's like that you get a great moment of airtime, then get thrown into some crazy positives. And you actually already have a little bit of speed going into this drop because it's got that LSM lift hill, which is faster than a regular chain lift. So you're already, going pretty fast into the drop, and you just get whipped over. It is short, but it is just powerful. and it is just awesome. I don't mind that it's a small drop. It is just an awesome element, and it's just it's definitely one of my favorite elements on Maverick. And just making it into the top 5 is going to be the 109-foot barrel roll drop on Twisted Timbers now. Because of the style of this drop, there's no specific angle of descent. It was just a really fun element. This was my first RMC, and this is one of the elements that most blew me away about this coaster. It's definitely my favorite of the couple inverting drops I've experienced, and it's definitely a really unique type of drop. Going through an inversion down the drop to gain speed, I just think that's really, really cool and unique. It gives great hang time in the front and really, really good whip in the back, and it's just so unique and so cool. It is the only one of these this is the only barrel drop that I've currently experienced, and I just can't wait to experience the other ones like on Storm Chaser, Medusa Steel Coaster. It's just a really fun element, so unique. It's definitely one of the reasons why Twisted Timbers is just such a great RMC and just a great coaster overall. And just across the park from that will be the 300-foot 85-degree drop on Intimidator 305. This is by far my favorite Giga coaster drop. I think some people may disagree because this drop does feel a bit shorter than the other Gigas, but this drop is definitely awesome. I do agree that it does feel shorter, as I think it definitely levels out sooner than the other ones, and it is steeper. But it is just awesome. It definitely does give a lot better airtime than the other drops. It just is a lot more forceful than the other Giga drops, in my opinion. You get absolutely flung over this drop in the back, some great ejector air, and then get thrown straight into that insanely intense blackout-inducing bank turn where you hit like 5+ Gs. So that's just absolutely crazy. It is huge. It is just awesome. It definitely is still fairly long-lasting in the back, but not as much as like the drop on Millie or Fury. But it's still just an awesome element. I think it is a really underrated drop. It's definitely one of the things that makes this ride just so good. I-35 is my number one coaster, and it definitely has one of my favorite drops out there. In the front, it's definitely nothing too special, but in the back, it just is awesome. After riding this coaster so many times, I've definitely started to notice just how good this drop is. And it definitely is one of my personal favorite first drops that I've experienced. My favorite RMC drop will be coming in at number 3, the 200-foot 90-degree drop on Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. And this drop is just amazing. I was definitely hyped up quite a bit after we saw it would be a 90-degree drop, the first one on an RMC, and it truly delivers. A lot of people actually say this is one of, if not the weakest parts of the ride, and I definitely disagree. However, I read it with the trims on, so a lot of the elements weren't as good, but this is actually one of my favorite parts of this ride. This drop is just huge. It is super long lasting. Get totally whipped over it in the back. Great airtime. It's just giant. It's super steep. I love how it's just vertical, and this drop is huge. It's definitely a really great drop. And it is definitely one of my favorite parts on Steel Vengeance. Alright, so coming in at the number 2 spot is going to be the only wooden coaster drop to make this list, and this is the 176-foot 76-degree drop on El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure, and this is the only intimate prefab I've ridden. And if T-Express's drop is anything like this, then I'm absolutely gonna love that coaster. This thing is just insane. It is so unbelievably steep. When you're looking at it from straight back, it looks pretty much vertical and almost feels unsafe. It is just crazy. In the back, you get absolutely flung over this drop. You get yeeted over this drop. It is just insane. Crazy amounts of airtime. It is fairly quick. It's not a super long-lasting drop. I mean, it lasts a decent amount of time. Definitely if you're getting a front row ride, it does last a little bit longer than the back, but it is definitely a really, really good drop. In the front, it's definitely good. Still some great airtime in the back. You get some of the strongest and just craziest ejector ever, and then you get thrown straight into a really intense valley with some awesome head choppers. So this drop is just insane. It might be the best drop on any wooden coaster out there. I wouldn't doubt it. and is just one of the best parts of El Toro, and just one of my favorite coaster elements of all time. It's just such a great drop. Alright, so coming in at the number 1 spot, some of you might already know this because I mentioned this on my top 10 favorite airtime moments. But number 1 is going to be the insane 212-foot 85-degree drop on Skyrush at Hersheypark. And this is a really, really short drop. It's over like insanely quick, but this drop literally feels unsafe. So at first, when you head down the drop, it's good. I mean, you definitely get your, pretty good whip over the drop. In the front's good. I didn't get any totally front row rides, but I got some towards the front. But in the back, you definitely get whipped over. But then there's this little kink in the drop where you actually hit your 85 degrees about halfway down. And it actually makes a sound when it hits it, this little point. But you absolutely go flying out of your seat. It is ridiculous. It is like unsafe. The airtime is just crazy. You get thrown into an insanely intense bank turn. Some really strong positives right after this insanely strong airtime moment. So this drop is just insane. In the back is literally unsafe. It is just mental. The airtime on this drop is just crazy. It's just so weird that this little king just sends you absolutely flying, but it's just awesome. And I just absolutely love this drop, and I just absolutely love Skyrush as a whole. Alright, so that'll be about it for my top 10 favorite coaster drops that I've experienced. I don't really have much else to say, so I want to hear what are your guys' top 10 favorite drops you've experienced, and what your thoughts on my list were. This is just my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion, and just your favorite drops you've experienced. So that'll be about it for this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.